I picked up these little things on the internet. I saw a video, I think it was Hiram that was doing a video of these. He picked them up. They're rather cheap, and for good reason. They're not a very good alcohol burner for much of anything. The candle puts off a little bit, but here, watch this. I'll blow it out, and I'll bring the wick up a little bit, just to show you that it can put off a little more than it was there. But even at that, it's a very, very small light source. I was barely able to read. I set it up in a room with no lights on last night, and I was barely able to read a book with this minute light. I think a candle puts off more light than this thing does. I haven't tested to see how long it would burn far at this. So I just want to show you what I got. I don't know if I'd waste my money on them if I were you. They're interesting looking little capsules. I had trouble getting mine to just stand up straight with the rounded bottom. I don't understand that. It's got a very small flat spot on the bottom, and they barely stand up straight. Obviously, with the lid on, you can't stand them up straight, so they just tip over. They don't hold fluid very well. They tend to leak a little bit. They have rubber gaskets in here, but they still tend to leak a little bit. So if you put this in your pack, I would imagine a couple days in your pack, it's not going to be much of an emergency source of fuel because they tend to leak, and you'd have that fuel leaking in your pack. There's no gaskets anywhere else except on this here. I take that back. There might be a gasket in here. Let's see. Hold on a second. Let me set the camera up a little bit, and we'll take it apart with some light on, and I'll show you how they look on the inside. Give me just a second here. All right. I'm going to show you. What I did was, Mini Bull Design does a lot of his. Tinny from Mini Bull Design does a lot of his stoves with this silicone piece, hose, I guess, and you can buy extra. And I have a spare for my stove, and I use that to help balance it because if you look, it's very wobbly as I set it down, and if you set it down just a little bit too hard on the side, it tips over. If you have any kind of ground that's not really level, it won't really stay up straight. It just wants to tip over. So it's not very level. Anyways, this one has fluid in it, so I'm not going to take that one apart, and you can just pop that back down, and it isn't that hard to pull that up and down. The little wick. I'm going to put my lid back on there. And this lid goes back on here. Came with all kinds of little keychain links and a rubber gap thing, which I don't know what that was for. It wasn't a seal of any kind, so I'm going to take this one apart for you guys, because it has no fluid in it, so I won't have to dripping it all over the place. So there's the wick that comes with it, and then this comes apart also, which is where you put your fluid in. And of course you got your wick that dips down into the bottom down there, you know. As you can see, it's a little string. There is a rubber gasket right there. Let's see, is that too high? There's a rubber gasket right there on the inside. So that is on the inside is just a canister, aluminum canister. They're pretty light. And, you know, they just screws on, and that gasket seals good, so that's not a problem. What happens is there's a little hole right here. Am I close enough where you can see that? Probably not. Oh, there. We got a little shot of it there. There's a little hole right there, an air hole, which lets air in while alcohol comes out. So this gasket on here seals that air hole, supposedly, but nothing's sealing the top there, so I guess as long as this is screwed down tight, it should seal it because there's no way to get out beyond that. Although it looks like this one has a rubber gasket in the top of it, and I don't think this one did. Although now my rubber gasket fell out, so that's probably what happened to my other one. It had a rubber gasket in there probably as well, and it fell out. Let's see. Yeah, there's no rubber gasket in that one. It's just steel on top. So that little rubber gasket must have fell out of this one, which may be why it's leaking. So I'll have to get another rubber gasket like this out of an inner tube or something. Boy, it doesn't stay in there very good. And then that will maybe keep it from leaking. I don't know. Anyways, they're not good for much. Even with that on there, and it's still kind of heavy with the chain on there, the link. I don't know if that's going to come in handy at all anyway. If you look, it's not very tight. It could easily slip apart right there. So I wouldn't trust this thing for anything. Actually, the whole thing's kind of cheap. So anyways, I bought them because they look cool. I may or may not throw them in my pack. I don't know. They're cool looking. Whatever.